All right. Welcome. All right. Welcome everybody to Synapse Philosophy Group. We are on Stephenson's text. We are doing principle number 2, the chiropractic meaning of life, on page 237. We're going to start there tonight. And I just want to say this is an open forum. There is no right and wrong. And I want everybody to feel safe to be able to express themselves. And if you have questions, ask them. If you have insights, offer them. Okay? Anybody have anything they want to clear up from last week or anything else? Well, let's rock and roll. Okay. So, Article 310 in the senior text, the chiropractic meaning of life, principle number 2. The expression of intelligence through matter is the chiropractic meaning of life. The meaning of the term life has many interpretations. It is usually accepted to mean existence or duration or a vague idea of both. To chiropractic is definitely the expression of intelligence, the manifestation of intelligence. Then, in this broad sense, the meaning is not limited to mere organic matter, but includes all matter. Therefore, we will be obliged to make a deductive classification going from the general to the specific. Article 12, in parentheses, and deal with the specific vis-a-vis universal life and organic life. All right, that was a few tongue twisters in there. What do you feel he's trying to express in principle number 2 here? Now, this is a discussion. I want to hear from you. Mouthful or not, Dave? So unmute yourself or raise your hand. I can unmute you, whatever you'd like to do. Life has many interpretations. It is usually accepted to mean existence or duration or a vague idea of both. To me, life means expression of God in matter. This is life created by the omnipotent. And if we're working with universal intelligence, which they dumb down from God, saying God, and universal intelligence, which they dumb down to say from spirit, is what they truly meant. D.D. Palmer and B.J. as well, he corroborated that. Why aren't they mentioning this more often in Stephenson? I'm always thinking why.
Is B.J. using the word God?
He has.
But does he say that life is how you said it?
Well, what Stephenson said, B.J. didn't talk about this. And I feel, and we've corroborated this, that there is quite a bit of D.D. that Stephenson's puts in here. And what Stephenson did was just write more clearly, I think, of what B.J. liked. And that's why B.J. liked his book so much, because he put it in a clear tone with better grammar, actually. Anybody have any insight on that?
Is innate intelligence God in the flesh, in your opinion?
And in my studies of B.J. and D.D. Palmer, who say those exact things, pretty much, yes. And that is truly what I see and I believe, yes, for my own sake. What about other people? How about someone else?
You don't want to go into that.
No? Yes, I do. I want to know what people think. You know, there is, and I've had this conversation quite a number of people, the spirituality, is it necessary in chiropractic? And I have to say, I truly believe it is. To have an intimate relationship with spirit, which is innate, okay? We are working with that innate intelligence from within. And that is a spiritual intelligence. I have no idea how to digest the food Dave's eating right now and make it into brand new strands of DNA. We can't think about that in our educated intelligence. It has to come from innate, which is spirit.
So you're saying there's no God in a rock, which is just universal intelligence?
I didn't say no God. There is no expression of life in the rock. But the order of the universe, of how things are so orderly, that there must be God within that rock. And that's where the first one, actually, we're really talking about is principle number one, the major premise. Universal intelligence is in all matter and continually gives to it all of its properties and actions. So universal intelligence is in all matter. Innate intelligence is in living matter. So the universal is there, and there are universal laws of physics and the dynamics of molecular bonds and chemical bonds and those type of things. Of course, atomic bonds, but we're not splitting those apart. And that is the order of the universe. When we're talking about the meaning of life, now that's the expression of that universal intelligence in that matter, in creating that life and animating it. Good questions, Dave. That's what I feel. What does someone else say? What do you feel? And Steve, there's a little trick. If you don't have good reception or good internet in Mexico, just blink out your video and your streaming will be better with audio, and then you can come back with your video maybe. That might be helpful, because last time you were a little spotty.
Am I spotty right now?
No, now you're clear.
The fact that universal intelligence is in all matter, that's just another way of saying that there is no place where God is not.
I like that. There is a book, Conversations with God, and I never read the whole thing actually, but Pasquale gave it to me once. And, in the beginning of the book, this is all I really needed to know, or really needed to read. And it said, God is in all things that are and all things that aren't. And that resonated really well with me. Mara, I just saw you. Did you unmute? You have something to say? Oh, there's Bob.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Mara.
I have a question, and I don't know if it was asked or answered. So are we saying that we're expressing, so chiropractic meaning of life is expressed because through an adjustment, through an intelligent matter who moved the innate in them to an inanimate object? Is that what he was trying to say?
What does everybody think? What do you think? Because I don't think innate he's not talking about necessarily, because bone is living, and the adjustment through matter, it's still living matter, animated by innate intelligence. Do you have something, Steve or Bob? Bob, you're muted.
I got something.
Go ahead, Steve.
There are places on Earth that are really charged. They've done Kirlian photography on teddy bears that were loved and slept with by infants, compared to ones that are just as old but not touched or loved. It's like the battery charger charges the battery, and the battery gives back. I think when we love an object, even like a rock or a piece of land, somehow, and I don't understand it, I think that somehow there's a resonant force where love is somehow transmitted and received and then transmitted back to us. Matter is not totally unresponsive. Such a rock for minerals is not totally unresponsive, just probably not as much as, you know, single-celled, not as much as multi-cells, not as much as animals, and up the complication.
Thought. Interesting. Bob, you have something?
It's
Go ahead.
difficult to wrap my head around it completely, but there's part of me that says there's an almighty God. Not that it's separate from everything else, but that it's beyond that part of God that resides within us. Like the Great Spirit, you know, Jehovah, whoever you want to call it. That's all I got to say.
Okay, absolutely. Go ahead, Dwayne.
So one of the things we have to realize, this is the beginning of the senior text. This is the beginning of laying down terms of what they're going to be talking about. So we're defining how we're going to talk about this word, this term that's spelled L-I-F-E.
Yes. Okay.
So it's not necessarily grounds for a debate. It's like, since there is a wide gamut of definitions of what life is, this is what we're going to define. We also have to realize that this was before atomic structure was known. This is also before the DNA was known. So we're defining these terms that we're going to be talking about.
Yes, and that's what you're on target. That's what they're doing, is refining and defining in the senior text. We're going in a little deeper, right? Because I think we're all a little more senior. Some of us are a little more senior and been doing this a little while, and helping out the students getting refined understanding. You know, we have one student this time right now, and we have students around the world listening to these videos and to the podcast from all the colleges. What we're doing is really getting a clearer picture. This is a sounding board for us to refine. Whether that's his intention, we're past that, really, I feel, is to get a deeper feeling of what is truly happening with chiropractic as a whole. Go ahead, Alan, you unmuted.
I understand, Dwayne. I understand what you're saying, and it's absolutely true. And I think that part of our discussion is that science now has incorporated those things, and it allows us to potentially incorporate some of those thoughts as we discuss this matter, even though they didn't have all the data that we may have today. You know, what Steve was talking about in the rock is we know now, again, that may not have been known then, that there's motion in the atoms and molecules in the rock. There's something that we've determined the universal maintains everything in existence, and part of that is maintaining the motion that maintains the cohesiveness of the atoms that make that rock, you know, basalt versus granite, even in that level. And you know, for me, as far as intelligence, I find, for me, I have found that the word God is limiting, in that I've never been able to get past, potentially, and it may be me, that the concepts that were given to me as a child, or even advanced through as I aged, that limit God in some ways. That, you know, and that you pray to God and expect a response. And in reality, I think that universal intelligence is a bigger image that says, yes, there is a spirit, there is an intelligence that is in everything and maintains it in existence, and it's an organizing factor that allows everything to happen, but that, is unsolicitous at some point. You can't ask God to do something for you, as many people think about, I'm going to pray to God if something happens here. But you manifest through your innate intelligence, which is part of God. You manifest things in the universe around you.
Go ahead,
That's
Steve.
The idea that the chiropractic meaning of life is the expression of intelligence through matter. Without getting cosmic, the idea resonates so wonderfully. And I'm reminded of Bill Bain, who always talked about you are what you express. If you want to be more loving, you express love. If your liver needs to be more healthy, the liver is as healthy as it expresses less. An apple tree with Jesus said it's healthy as it gives apples. When the apple tree stops expressing, when we stop expressing, we begin to stop living. The nature of God is to create. The nature of us, co-creators, we are and God is the same when we drop our egos, except we didn't create God. But the whole idea of expression, I don't need to go into space. And is there any place where God is not? No, but that's another subject. Just sticking with the chiropractic meaning of life is the expression of intelligence through matter excites me after 50 years of being with this stuff. So let's express it. Let it rip.
Absolutely.
So I want to go back to the text for a second and to maybe clarify for us something here, because we talk about to chiropractic, it is definitely the expression of intelligence, the manifestation of intelligence. And then he goes down and says, where am I? Universal life and organic life, and he separates. So to say, he's saying that life is effectively, that vibration, the where there's motion, there's life. That is so that in a rock there's life, because he talks about inorganic and organic at the end here. So potentially there's something to think about there, because he talks about deductive classification going from general to specific. So just a random thought.
One of the reasons that I use the term God and spirit is because people are afraid to use it. So if anything, of desensitizing it, and we're talking about an energetic force animating the universe is just truly amazing. We can say it in however we wish. I think those words have more power and meaning in them. And there has been a giant push since the beginning of chiropractic not to use that, even from DD and BJ. I think it's time that, and it has quick connotations towards religion. And if we take that out and we just use that energy and that thought pattern in life, that energetic tone, the expression of intelligence through matter, it's truly amazing. Like, yes, that is exactly what's happening. There's an intelligence expressing itself through matter. At the other end, when the intelligence is gone, it's just matter, right? And then we start to decompose. We are less composed at that point. Right now, we're in repose. I'm continually reposing myself, rebuilding myself in every minute, far beyond what my educated can do. It's far beyond anyone's educated. Even the collection of all the educated together can't do it. So what it is bigger than the words that we can use to describe that. We use God for that term. You can say universal for that term, or whatever your belief system is. And it works. It works for me. Let's put it in that sense. And I honor that. I honor that energy. Anybody else?
I want to go back to playing with the idea about the inorganic and organic matter and say and go to something again that we wasn't known back in the day, and that is that we are we're stardust. All of the atoms in our bodies were generated in the center of solar giants, in the middle of suns, and that's how atoms are combined, and they go from helium to hydrogen to carbon, and they build and build and build, and that's where all the matter comes from. And in reality, we are all solar particles, if you will, and that have been recombined over time to in the form that we're now. And so on some level, that life that is in those atoms is in us, and we are, again, that unity of the universe.
And,
Right on.
Down the road.
and we still don't understand them, right? We still really have no truly understanding how an electron can phase from one dimension to the next. Go on, Dwayne.
Right.
And that's the beauty of principle number one, is by not defining chiropractic as a religion, but assuming that everybody has their own religion, Alan and I can be diametrically opposed as to where this stuff comes from, but we can still agree on all 33 principles. And that's why I love principle one so very much.
Beautiful. That's wonderful. Thank you for that insight, Dwayne. That's very, very good. And yeah, it doesn't separate people, it unites them. Very nice. I like it. Anybody else?
Well, matter and energy are not separated. There's a link. And I'm listening to you, Alan, and I'm reading this thing called the Moses Code. And I'm just thinking about how when Moses became one with I Am, he communicated with the matter and split the sea. There's an interchange between intelligence and matter. When we give an adjustment, we are in the same way, freeing the enslaved impulse and allowing us to go into the land of milk and honey. That's what we do when we give an adjustment. We are influencing matter.
Yeah, that's a very good insight. We are influencing matter. That gets back a little bit to what Mara was looking for clarity. Mara, can we get more clarity of what your question was? I don't think we really answered you.
I was just wondering what the reference to the matter in the meaning of life for chiropractic.
Mm-hmm. Well, the flesh is matter, right? We're made up of molecules, made up of atoms, and we're not static. We can't adjust a granite rock, but it is matter. But there is no expression of life in that matter. So when we're adjusting a vertebra, that vertebra is alive, there's an expression of life there, and there's expression of life within the being. We're working with that expression of life. We're not actually working with the matter, in my point of view.
I agree with that.
Go ahead, Alan. Did you just want to say something?
I was formulating a thought, but I think that as you were saying, we are, as you've said many times on these calls, we are communicating innate to innate at times. I know that I need to clear myself sometimes. I sit and meditate before every session when I see patients, so that I'm clearing myself from what I've been doing to what I'm about to do. And then we have to be at one with the people we're with, each person as they come in, to make this happen, to allow this to happen through us, and through them. And yes, we're dealing with a physical body and our physical body and their physical body, but there's times when I think that things change before you touch somebody, or your hands have left their you. I know that there's been times when I adjust somebody and my hands are off of them already, and then an audible happens. Right?
Yep,
I think all of
absolutely.
us that have been in practice for all have had that happen, and it's what allows that to happen after I'm not touching them anymore. It is that spirit within them that's saying, I can use what you gave me to make a change here and allow a progress to be made or do something that I wanted to do.
It happened to me today, as a matter of fact. I had a student visiting from Life West, Life West in California, and I did an adjustment, and it was a moment after coming off the body. We all heard it, like, absolute wow, look how amazing the life is in this body. You know, I put in some force and I stepped away, and we just heard that. You know, it was an amazing moment, actually. Thanks for bringing that into light. Steve, you unmuted.
And I think that the influence of matter begins in the non-material, in the more subtle level.
Absolutely. And it's beyond our limited thought. We're just educated beings, right? We're not really very smart in the grand scheme of things. Your body's far more intelligent than that energy that's doing all the work. God's life, that energy's innate, universal, whatever you say, is truly, mind-boggling. To break down your breakfast and make it into this human flesh that we live in. If we had to think about just our breakfast from our childhood, we'd still be trying to work out the ways to do it from one meal. We'd never be able to get on with our life. That's part of what I talk about in my talk, in my office.
I believe that love is in control of the sand, the grains of sand on all the beaches. There is a intelligence, although it's not organic. There's no place. There's a universal intelligence. Gravity. Without the right amount of gravity, you would have the sand would be flying into like space, or too much, it would be sucked into the center. There's an order to things, starting from the most hydrogen when it first went bam. Intelligence began it. Intelligence never left matter, including rocks.
Yeah.
And it's amazing because it's everywhere.
I wanted to get back to one thing, is that I realize just talking about this, chiropractic unites people. And thank you for that, Dwayne. It doesn't matter what your background is. We're talking about a universal uniting of people through the philosophy of chiropractic. And it doesn't matter what language you speak. And because we're translating this into Portuguese, Marina is doing, and Spanish, she's doing the text, and then I have someone putting it on subtitles. And it's so important to realize the philosophy doesn't exclude anyone. It unites us as beings, human beings, whatever your term that you use for yourself when we talk about this energy. And it's just, I feel so grateful for it. I truly do. So that's my 2 cents right now. Anybody else?
Yeah, and the hands-on adjustment is not a Jewish or a Christian or a black or a white adjustment. It's not anything. It's the same. It's a human being.
I mean, today I took care of Muslims, Jews, Christians, atheists in my office today. And, we're all united by one thing, which is love. I have a loving office. We all care about each other. Everybody's very respectful. and we really care about one another, you know. And chiropractic itself is about caring, or else you wouldn't wake up in the morning to go do it, because I care. You care. Or you wouldn't be here to advance ourselves to care for our people. That's why I say care and I say serving. I'm here to care for you. I'm here to serve you and adjust you, but I'm not here to manipulate you. You know, that's a whole other vibration, if you ask me. We're going on to another topic now.
Right on, though. No, we're not, because you're talking about that intelligence and love.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Now,
we're sticking with one principle at a time, because we're doing the translating, and we want to have these in segments for the students in Brazil first, and also Mexico. So I think keeping this orderly. Does anybody have anything else to add tonight? Oh, Dwayne, you have your hand up. I apologize. Go ahead.
yeah, chiropractic also works on other vertebrates too, not just humans. So it transcends our belief systems. It transcends to some universal truth that we may not even be aware of yet.
Yes. And there's no placebo effect with them, right? Thank you for that. Excellent. Excellent. Anyone else?
No, I know I've adjusted animals, not a lot, but I mean, I did, God, 1,000 years ago with Doug Gates, and I studied animal adjusting as an extracurricular course at Sherman when I was there back in the early 80s. Doug Gates taught that, and we had, and actually, I have a friend that does animal adjusting as a large part of his practice up in New England. But I had a cat at the time, and he would lose the hair on one side of his body. And I knew that it had to be a chiropractic issue because it was only one side, right? But things happen. I would take him to the vet, and he said, "You got to do this, that, and the other." I said, "No, we're not doing that." I took this course with Doug Gates. I adjusted the cat and adjusted his atlas, and the hair came back. And if I didn't check him frequently enough, the hair would start to fall out again.
Wow.
And it was that, he didn't know.
You didn't know? Yeah.
And that's the thing. Animals do respond. Thank you, Dwayne, for bringing that up. Animals respond just as well as humans, and maybe better because they don't have their educated brain getting in the way of allowing healing to happen.
I think that's a bingo thing right there, right on the nose. Absolutely.
Some people don't want to get well. Some people get benefit from the attention they get from their symptoms.
Oh, yeah.
That's the way they get their love. Some people, that's a way to get people to pay attention to me, to give me something, is to have symptoms and need support. And some people don't want to give that up.
And that's where I see the word advice. You're adding to people's vices. And that's what they're looking for. I just want you to say, "Oh, poor baby," and "Poor me." You're healing. You're better than you've ever been. You're healing right now in this moment today, right now. And people are like, "No, blah, blah, blah." No, you got to let it go. It's time. All right, everybody. That's, I think we've got a lot of good information on this one. How do you guys feel? Mara, go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to add on to let you guys know that Palmer officially has a philosophy club that's starting next quarter, and it's finally official.
Wow, that's really great.
Because we started in COVID, like right before COVID with Noor, and it just never continued through COVID. So when we got back, everybody was rushing towards the technique club. So it was really hard to get people to come to philosophy and talk because people were lacking in technique and their art. So now it's finally official, and group is a lot bigger than expected. So
cool.
Which Palmer campus is this?
On Palmer, Florida.
Okay.
So however I can lend my support, I'm here for you, okay?
Of course. Thank you so much.
I would love to come and maybe be a guest or something. We can come do something really fun. and in the near future. All right.
All
Me
right.
too.
Thank you. Thank you.
Me
Of
too.
course.
I'm willing.
Always welcome. And I'm gonna try to see if we can send out, like, to the people that come, to send them out this link every time, so to make it part of the club, since they meet bi-weekly.
Oh, cool. Who's running the club?
Kevin, Granger, and Luca.
All right, that's great. I know them.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for that, Mara, and everybody else. I appreciate you all. And, we're making history right now in this moment. We've reviewed more green books than most people own. And we've been doing it for a year now. We've gone through BJ's volume 33. We've gone through DD's 1910. Sections. Once we do the senior text, we're pretty much done with Stephenson's. And we're laying down this philosophy and understanding for the future of chiropractic, because it's not going anywhere. I just got a text from a student at Life University who said he can't make it because he works every time, but he's been listening now to the podcast on Spotify. So, because this I also put on Spotify, just the audio. So this is getting far and wide, and I love and appreciate you, and I love and appreciate chiropractic too. And, this is history right now, in this moment, forever to be, okay? You guys have a beautiful night.
Thank you for dragging old guys like me into the future of Spotify.
Well, we'll work on that for you. I'll send you a link. All right, I love you guys. Have a great night.
Thank you all for everything.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for being here.